Hey everyone, this is Anthony Weinkoff with Embrace Tutoring and Educational Services, and in this video we'll be covering SAT Math, the PSAT 2020 test. Please remember these videos provide additional explanations and content review, but you'll always want to attempt the problems independently. Please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube page and ask questions along the way. Okay, so let's get started. Now, before we begin, we want to really understand how to best approach and tackle the SAT math problems, essentially how to think about them. One major tip that we will tell you is that everything is there for a reason or for a purpose, so your overall goal is to always figure out how to utilize the given information. So the three-step process that we're going to use in order to break this down is step one, you always want to be able to read the problem and identify the type of concept being assessed, whether it's circles, ratios, linear expressions, exponents, etc. You then want to be able to evaluate what is given in the problem and think how you can utilize the given information to answer the problem. And then finally, you always want to be able to solve the problem by connecting the given information to the necessary math computations, such as formulas, equations, inequalities, etc. But always remember, everything is there for a reason, and you're going to want to do your best in order to connect what they're asking you to solve for to what is being provided or what is given. Okay, for problem number one, it says which of the following is an equivalent form of the expression 15x plus 24ax? After skimming my answer choices quickly, it seems as though what I'm going to need to do is either distribute my answer choices or factor my answer choices in order to put them into my 15x plus 24ax form. And as I'm skimming down, I notice here for choice D, I can actually distribute this for my 15 plus my 24a. If I distribute this, the 15 times the x gives me my 15x, and the 24a multiplied by the x gives me 24ax, which indeed is the answer choice that I'm looking for. So answer choice D will be my answer to question number one. For problem number two, it says the formula D equals RT is used to calculate the distance an object travels over a period of time t at a constant rate r. Based on this formula, what is the rate r in terms of d and t? Hopefully you can recall that whenever you see what is the rate in terms of this is a literal equations problem, and the given equation that they initially give you is D equals RT. So by dividing both sides by t, I isolate and solve for r, which indeed makes A my best answer for problem number two. Problem number three states which of the following ordered pairs x, y satisfies both equations y equals x squared plus 3x minus 4 and x equals y minus 4. Now, as I see both of these equations and essentially kind of what is a systems of equations problem, what I quickly notice is I can use a substitution method in order to plug in one of these variables into my top equation. And as I do this, I'm most likely going to end up solving actually for y initially, so I get y equals x plus 4. And as here for y equals x plus 4, but notice also my initial is y equals x squared plus 3x minus 4. So now I'm going to set these y's equal to each other. And when I set the y's equal to each other, I get x plus 4 equals x squared plus 3x minus 4. Now I'm going to subtract my 4 to the other side, and we get x equals x squared plus 3x minus 8. I'm now going to subtract my x, and I get 0 equals x squared plus 2x minus 8. Now notice this is in a quadratic form, so 0 equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And when I factor these two, I get 0 equals x plus 4 multiplied by x minus 2. Quick tip that the middle value here, if this is a regular x, then both of these are going to be a singular x as well. And then in order to figure this out quickly, I want to figure out which two terms when multiplied together will give me a negative 8, but when added together will give me a positive 2 for my middle. And hopefully you can tell that 4 times negative 2 will give you negative 8, but 4 plus negative 2 will give you a positive 2, which is what makes both of these work. Now I'm going to simplify them further to get 0 equals x plus 4 and 0 equals x minus 2. I'm now going to get my roots being x equals negative 4 and x equals positive 2. What I now want to do is evaluate my possible answer choices. I see here that B is the only answer choice that actually has a 2 or a negative 4 within my x value. So B is most likely going to be my possible answer choice. But to double check, what I'm going to do now is take my x value and plug it into the other expression as if I solved for this the other way. So now I have y equals y minus 4 squared plus 3 times y minus 4 minus 4. The reason I'm doing this is I'm taking my y minus 4 and I'm taking this x value and plugging it into my other equation, as if I'm essentially solving for y, not necessarily solving for x. And hopefully what I get, if indeed b is my answer, I should get y is going to equal to 6 in this instance. When I distribute this first, I'm going to get my y equals y minus 4 squared plus 3y minus 12. Notice the 3 distributes to the y and the 3 distributes to the negative 4. And then I bring my negative 4 down. I'm now going to FOIL my y minus 4 squared. I get y squared minus 8y plus 16. And now I'm going to just simplify my like terms. And when I simplify my like terms, I get y equals y squared minus 8y plus 16 plus 3y minus 16. Notice my negative 12 and my negative 4 will become my negative 16. Continuing to combine my like terms, I then get y equals y squared minus 5y. I'm going to bring the other y over to get 0 equals y squared minus 6y. Now when factoring, I'll end up getting 0 equals y times y minus 6. Setting these both, this becomes 0, and this becomes y minus 6 equals 0, making my y value equivalent to 6. So yes, indeed, B is still my best answer because x is equal to 2, y is equal to 6. B, therefore, is going to be my best answer for question number 3. Problem number 4 states, which of the following is a solution to the equation 2x squared plus 4x equals 3 plus 3x squared? The fact that I have an x squared, a singular x, and another term is a telltale sign that I'm most likely going to have a quadratic, which makes sense because when you factor quadratics, you could have multiple solutions. Now, when we solve for this, we have 2x squared plus 4x equals 3 plus 3x squared. I'm going to subtract my 2x squared from both sides. I then get 4x equals 3 plus x squared. I'm now going to bring over the 4x to the other side and arrange this in more of a quadratic formation. I then get 0 equals x squared minus 4x. Notice when I subtracted the 4 over the other side, that's where my minus 4x comes from, and positive 3. So this is my A, this is my B, and this is my C in terms of my quadratic. Now, what I want to do is I want to factor these. And as I'm factoring, I want to figure out what two values, when multiplied together, will give me a positive 3, but when added together will give me a negative 4. So my factors are going to be 0 equals x minus 3 and x minus 1. Now, I want to set these both equal to 0 to be 0 equals x minus 3 and 0 equals x minus 1. And when solving for x, I will get x equals 3 and x equals 1. So possible solutions to this quadratic formula are going to be 3 and 1, making C my only possible answer choice for problem number 4. Problem number 5 states, if xy is a solution to the systems of equations above, what is the value of x? Now, hopefully you remember that whenever you have stacked equations and it says systems of equations, that's also a obviously telltale sign for systems of equations. So what you want to do is you want to take your two stacked equations. You're either A, going to use your substitution method, or B, you're going to use your elimination method. Whenever it's asking you to solve for an individual variable, you're going to tend to use the elimination method by first finding what is called a common multiple. Now, you already see here that from both of the equations, I've already set up 2, a 5, as well as a negative 2. And the reason why I'm doing this is my common multiple here is actually going to be negative 20y. Right? So here I have negative 20, and here I have positive 20. So let me walk you through this. I first take my top equation. I do 5 times negative 3x, 5 times negative 4y, and 5 times 20. This will end up giving me negative 15x minus 20y equals 100. And then my bottom equation, I do negative 2 times x, negative 2 times negative 10y, and negative 2 times 16. This will end up giving me negative 2x plus 20y equals negative 32. The reason why we are doing this is so that way you can eliminate the y when these equations are going to be added together. And when you eliminate the y, thereby you're only solving for x. So when I add these equations together, I will get negative 15x plus negative 2x, which will give me negative 16 or negative 17x, negative 20y plus 20y. Thus, these will cancel, and I'm only solving for x. And then I have 100 plus negative 32, which is what gives you a positive 68. When I divide both sides by negative 17, I then get x equals negative 4, making C my best possible answer for number 5. Problem number 6 states the equation y equals 36 plus 18x models the relationship between the height y in inches of a typical golden delicious apple tree and the number of years x after it was planted. If the equation is graphed in the xy plane, what is indicated by the y-intercept of the graph? Now always remember, as we're interpreting the linear model here, the y-intercept is when x is going to be equal to 0. And initially, it's always referring to what is the starting amount. But if I were to plug in x equals 0 here, just to kind of walk you through this, then what I'm going to get is y equals 36 plus 18x. I'm going to plug in x equals 0, and therefore I will end up getting y equals 36. So notice the units of the 36 have to equal the units of y. It tells you that the y is in inches. So that also tells you that the 36 also has to be in inches or referring to something regarding height. So where it says A, the age, that can't be it because the y and the 36 both have to have matching units. And another master tip is that always what is the individual value here is always going to be your initial value. So it's always going to be your starting value. So not only do they have to matching units, but the singular number here is generally always going to be your initial value, making B the height in inches of a typical apple tree when it is planted. This is my initial value and it's in the correct units. So B is going to be my best answer for question number 6. If Giovanni buys 2 shirts, which equation relates the number of sweaters purchased P and the total cost in dollars Y? Now, hopefully what you want to quickly understand is that this is obviously a quick percentages problem. It also tells you, and we see that the $19.40 times the 2 sweaters is going to give you $38.80 plus the $24.80 P will equal Y. Now, because it's an 8% sales tax of the entire purchase, I need to take that entire amount or that entire purchase and I need to multiply it by 1.08. And remember, the 1.08 is representing the 8% sales tax to the entire purchase. And this equation here is best matching answer choice A. So 7 will be A. Problem number 8 states, a line is graphed in the xy plane. If the line has a positive slope and a negative y-intercept, which of the following points cannot lie on the line? Keyword being cannot lie on the line. Now let's take a look at these points a little bit more closely and graph them. Here we have a coordinate plane. I'm going to graph my -3, right? Go over -3, go down -3. That's my x and my y. And now my other point is going to be my -3, my +3 here being for B. C is going to be 3 as well as -3, so go forward 3, a +3, go down for -3, and then finally I have 3 and +3, so I go over 3 and then up 3. Now remember, our ultimate goal is really to determine which quadrant most likely the line won't touch through. Understanding that the y-intercept is when x is going to equal 0, the y here is going to be negative. Meaning that if x is 0 here on the line here, that it's then going to go down, right? The y is therefore going to be down. So if x is 0, my y will somewhere appear within this -1 through -6. It's going to be on this side of the graph. So it won't appear on the top part. It's going to appear down here on the bottom. And if I do that, then and also understanding it's going to be a positive slope, right? This is kind of the peak of where it essentially will go through. The point that it most likely will not touch is realistically going to be in this quadrant here, which is going to be reflective of answer choice B. So my -3 and my +3 here is most likely the point where it won't touch. Problem number 9 states, a parachute design uses 18 separate pieces of rope. Each piece of rope must be at least 270 meters and no more than 280 centimeters long. What inequality represents all possible values of the total length of rope X in centimeters needed for a parachute? Well, what you want to quickly understand is that there are 18 total pieces, or 18 separate pieces. Each piece of rope has to be at least 270 meters, and it can be no more than 280 centimeters. So I'm just going to do what is the minimum amount, and then as well as what is the maximum amount. Well, the minimum is going to be 270 times 18, is going to equal 4,860, and my maximum is going to be 18 times 280, which is going to be 5,040. And the inequality that best represents this is going to be 4,860 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 5,040, meaning that this is the smallest the rope can be, and this is the greatest that the rope can be, consisting of 18 pieces between 270 and 280 centimeters long, making answer choice C my best possible answer for question number 9. Question number 10 states, a carpenter has $60 with which to buy supplies. The carpenter needs to buy both nails and screws. Nails cost $12.99 per box, and screws cost $14.99 per box. If N represents the number of boxes of nails and S represents the number of boxes of screws, which of the following systems of inequalities models this situation? Now, whenever you're giving systems of inequalities problems, you want to try to break it down kind of line by line. You also want to pay attention to what they're corresponding to. So the rates should also match up to the variable that they're discussing. So where it says $12.99 per box of nails, all of these should then read $12.99N, 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 which they all do. And then the $14.99 per box of S, or for screws, they should all read $14.99S, $14.99S, etc. Now, the first inequality that you want to pay attention to is the $12.99 N plus the $14.99 S is less than or equal to $60. Well, where are they getting the 60? And where are they getting this less than or equal to sign? Really what it's coming from, it says a carpenter has $60 with which to buy supplies, meaning that the $60 is at most. So the total amount that you can spend is less than or equal to $60, and you cannot exceed that amount of $60. The other major inequality is just the fact that you need at least one nail and you need also at least one screw. It doesn't tell you exactly how many nails or screws that you need. You just know that you need them both, and they need to both be greater than 1, right? Greater than or equal to 1 in that capacity. So the best answer choice in this instance for question number 10 is really going to be D. Problem number 11 states, in the figure above, which of the following ratios has the same value as AB over BC? I see here that A is 28 degrees. I also see this side angle of B is also going to be 28 degrees. What I want to quickly note is that I don't know for sure if these are right angles, but what I can do is understand kind of the proportions of where they're pointing to. And I'm trying to figure out what's the ratio of AB over BC for my other triangle. And in doing so, I want to take my full triangle here, right? So A, my B, and C. And then what I also want to do is understand my other triangle for B and D and C here. Now, what I want to then do is I want to kind of like flip this to become BDC, and what you'll notice is that it's actually going to form similar shapes. And when I form these similar shapes, you'll also notice that my 28 degrees and my 28 degrees are both going to lie on this side. So my 28 degrees here are connected to A, and my 28 degrees here connected to B. Now these visually look really similar. So my 28 degrees is pointing to the opposite side. So these sides here should be proportional. Now understand what they're asking for. They say side AB here is going to be proportional to side BD, and side BC is therefore going to be proportional to side DC as I do this. And in a simplified way, right, AB is proportional to BD, and my BC is going to be proportional to DC. And as I look back on my answer choices, it does seem as though A is therefore going to be my best answer choice. Problem number 12 states, if the equation above where A is a constant is true for all positive values of x and y, what is the value of A? Now, I want to quickly notice that A here is represented in the exponent form, so here I'm going to have to really follow exponent rules. And when I write this entire equation down, I have x squared times y to the third power to the 1/2 exponent, and then I have x squared y to the third to the 1/3 exponent equals x to the a over 3 to the y to the a over 2. Now, I want to quickly remember that whenever I'm doing an exponent to an exponent, I want to really follow what is called the power rule, which is I want to multiply these. So the x squared times the 1/2 will become 2 over 2, and the y to the third will become the 3 over 2. So 3 times 1, which becomes 3, and then over 2. So that's where I'm getting the y to the 3 over 2 from. I'm going to follow the same rule here, the same pattern for x squared to the 1/3, which becomes 2 over 3, and then the y to the 3 to the 1/3 becomes 3 over 3. Now, I notice here that if I actually simplify this a little bit further, it might make it a little bit easier. So then I get x to the first, y to the 3 over 2, and x to the 2 over 3 to the y to the first. And now I'm going to find my common denominator between these. I do see here this is x to still a over 3 and y to the a over 2, so this remains the same. And when I do x to the first to the x to the 2 over 3, I want to follow my exponent rule of adding these together, knowing that they're now going to be multiplied. And when I add them, I want to find my common denominator between them. So I now get 3 over 3 plus the 2 over 3, which is going to give me 5 over 3, and likewise my y to the 3 over 2 to the y to the power of 2 over 2, here's my other common denominator, right? I'm now going to get 5 over 2. So when I simplify this and doing my common denominators, I now get x to the 5 over 3 times y to the 5 over 2, and looking over here, this is x to the a over 3, which is now matching my 5, and my y to the a over 2, which is now also matching my 5. So 5 is then going to be my answer for A, making answer choice C my best answer for question number 12. Problem number 13 states, if the equation y equals x minus 6 multiplied by x plus 12 is graphed in the xy plane, what is the x coordinate of the parabola's vertex? Now, there's multiple ways to do this problem because of the fact that they're doing parabola in vertex form, but you do want to always remember that parabola is going to refer to vertex, even if they don't necessarily state that, and the x-coordinates of the vertex are really going to be between the two middle points, or the middle, in other words. So if I actually have this and set this equal to 0, where I have y equals x minus 6 multiplied by x plus 12, if I set both of my factors here equal to 0, so 0 equals x minus 6, and 0 equals x plus 12, I'm now going to get 6 equals x, as well as negative 12 equals x. But remember, my goal is to figure out what it is inside in the middle, right? My x-coordinate of the vertex of the parabola. So I'm going to add both of these together, my 6 and my negative 12. I'm going to get 6 plus negative 12, which is 6 minus 12 over 2, which is now going to give me negative 6 over 2, which does give me negative 3. So negative 3 is going to be my x-coordinate of the vertex of the middle of this parabola. So it does appear as though for question number 13, B is going to be my best answer. For problem number 14, I see here that I'm now moving into my open-ended section, and what you always want to remember for your open-ended problems are that they must be positive. You can't have negative answer choices. You won't have radians or pi actually in your answer choice, and no radicals will be inside of your answer. The answer could be underneath the radical bar of what is given, but the actual radical sign won't be a part of your answer choice. So let's look at it a little bit further. So we have 21x plus 14 equals 7 multiplied by 3x plus a inside of parentheses. We then have in the equations above, a is a constant. For what value of a does the equation have an infinite number of solutions? Now that is the trick, because we need to make both of these equations the same on each side. Now setting up my equation, I get 21x plus 14 equals 7 times 3x plus a. When I distribute my 7, I will then get 21x plus 14 equals 21x plus 7a. If I keep my 21x's the same on both sides of the equation, I will then want to therefore make 14 equal to 7a, therefore giving me an infinite number of solutions. And when I do this, I will therefore get a equals 2, making 2 the answer to question number 14. Problem number 15 states, Julian practiced her dance routine for twice as many minutes on Monday as she did on Tuesday. She practiced her routine those 2 days for a total of 2 hours and 15 minutes. For how many minutes did Julian practice her dance routine on Monday? Now, I do see that it's asking for minutes, and it's also giving me a slight equation telling me that she danced for twice as many minutes on Monday as she did on Tuesday. But here, they kind of do a subtle thing where they do 2 hours and 15 minutes. Well, as I'm setting up my initial expression, what I want to quickly understand is that hours converted to minutes is really going to be 60 minutes per hour. So I have 120 minutes and plus another 15 minutes. So altogether, I'm going to end up having 135 minutes. Now the 135 minutes is the total amount of minutes that she practiced, but setting up my equation for Monday and Tuesday, I see that Monday is going to be 2x because of referring to twice as many minutes, and Tuesday is going to be x. So then I have 2x plus x equals 135 being my total number of minutes, making 3x equals 135, and therefore x is going to equal 45. But I want to break these up again just to make sure that I don't answer something incorrectly. It says, for how many minutes did Julian practice her dance routine on Monday? So I'm really solving for 2x. So when I plug these in for Monday, I would then get 90 minutes. So 2 times 45 is 90. And for Tuesday, she practiced for 45 minutes. And once again, total, she practiced for 135 minutes, 90 minutes on Monday, and 45 minutes on Tuesday. 90 will be your answer for problem number 15. Problem number 16 states, in the expression above, a is an integer. 12x squared plus ax minus 20 If 3x plus 4 is a factor of the expression above, what is the value of a? I quickly notice a is my middle term of my expression, and it says if 3x plus 4 is a factor. So I want to take my expression, and I want to quickly understand that if I were to remove a 3x plus 4 out of this expression, the way I want to think about this is what times 3x will give me 12x squared, and what times 4 will give me my negative 20. I'm focusing on the two other terms they give me, so that way when I end up foiling my entire expression, I can actually check this to see if when I'm combining my like terms, if I end up getting a. So let's do that. So what times 3x will give me 12x squared? Well, that's 4x. So 3x times 4x will give me 12x squared. And 4 times what will give me negative 20? Well, that's going to be minus 5. So when I do this, I want to now check, and I want to FOIL this back. So I do 3x times 4x will give me 12x squared. 3x times negative 5 will end up giving me negative 15x. And now 4 times 4x will give me 16x. And then finally, 4 times negative 5 will give me negative 20. So these do work. And when I combine my like terms, I will end up getting 12x squared plus 1x minus 20, because the negative 15x and the positive 16x here will become a simplified positive 1. Notice that it's only asking for a, so that's my middle term, making 1 equal to a, and therefore the answer to number 16 is going to be 1. Problem number 17 states ax plus by multiplied by cx minus dy. In the expression above, a, b, c, and d are non-zero constants, and ad equals bc. If AC equals 18 and if BD equals 50, what is the value of the coefficient in the xy term when the expression is multiplied out and the like terms are collected? Always remember that one key strategy is that always examine why they are giving you certain things and how to use them in terms of the given. Now, if we write our entire expression here, let's FOIL this. And if we FOIL this, you'll see that you'll end up getting acx squared minus adxy plus bcxy minus bdy squared. What you want to quickly understand is why did they give you AD equals BC, meaning these are your two middle terms here, and AC equals 18 and BD equals 50. Well, AC here equals 18, so we can plug this in, and BD here equals 50. So I now have 18x squared minus ADXY plus BCXY minus 50y squared. Notice it's asking what is the value of the coefficient of the xy term. Now, even if you get stuck on this a little bit, you can see that if AD is equivalent to BC, they are going to end up being or canceling each other out because it's simplified. These are then both therefore a like term, basically saying that negative 1xy plus 1xy or negative 2xy plus 2xy, they're going to end up canceling each other. And if they end up canceling each other because AD equals BC, then therefore your middle term is just going to be 0. So 0xy, making the answer 0 for question number 17. Now you theoretically could solve for the other values, being what is A or what is B or what is D, given the fact that you have 18 and you have 50. However, the purpose of this problem is really just asking you what is the middle term, and because these middle terms cancel, 0 is going to be your best possible answer for number 17. Okay, so thanks for watching, and please remember to contact us at info@embracetutoring.com to set up any personalized private tutoring sessions you would like. Stay tuned for future videos, and best of luck with your studies. We definitely encourage you to visit our Instagram as well as TikTok pages if you have any questions along the way. Take care, guys. Best of luck with your studies.